Hello, everybody, and welcome to Excellency Esports Semifinals. We are here with Capedogs Unleashed coming in on the 5th seed up against Hawkthorne Esports on 2nd seed, and we will have jumping into a best of 5 here in just a second. Camcom, I think it's been said, I've already got a team I think I have to root for based entirely on the wrap that I've just dropped. Who are you rooting for here in this series?
Well, both of these teams are fairly new to me, so I'm going to be going based off of like who has the better draft each game more of. If I did have to pick someone, I would probably go with Capedogs there, but yeah, just as a quick introduction, hello everyone. I am Camcom. I'm coming over from Mid League, and you can see me tomorrow night as well in their best of 5.
We have some experience here casting best of 5s as we do have a banger of a series on our hands. It'll be really interesting. Both these teams play around different points of power, so definitely looking to see that here in draft as well. Expect to see some early bot lane draft priority here from Hawkthorne, and then on the Capedog side, look for that top jungle mid kind of trio, trying to find a good synergistic 2 versus 2 kind of pickup here in the red 1 phase.
Yeah, usually you do get to see those picks like Viego, like Gwen, like I do believe Ezreal and Akali are still fairly meta. Akali is being nerfed next week, but we're not there quite yet, so I am expecting some of these more common picks to be picked up, especially early on here with it's super good flex.
Yeah, and another big thing to be just keeping in your mind here is going to be the addition of Aurelia to kind of the mid lane and top lane pool. Kind of not really sure if a lot of these players in Light League have that pick ready, as it has been kind of not great for, you know, a few patches now. But again, a really strong melee carry that I could see going over to Capedogs here, assuming that they play that pick.
Aurelia is very fun. She does have a little bit of that flex. She does usually go in the top, whereas in mid lane, usually mid lanes don't have her in their pool unless they were like an X-top main or something like that, whereas top laners, she's a little hard to play, especially here in this gold bracket. But I mean, if we do get to see an Aurelia and she does pop off, that is very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, just very flashy champion.
Yeah.
I would say Sirius Roy does have the capabilities. He actually flexed Kayle to mid lane, something I almost never see, but played it phenomenally in their quarterfinals match up against Blue Clockwork. So it's a really good matchup here. And here we go. We're into the ban phase. Immediately seeing the Samira pick, and I'm not surprised by this at all. We did see Hawkthorne run this pick in the past. Typically, we see him kind of favor something more like the Tristana, the Jinx, getting counters that pick up early. But here will be the Samira, and instant rebuttal is going to be the Lulu, making sure they can't have that easy 80 carry pocket champion on their side as well.
Yeah, I am curious about that super early Samira. Usually you don't early Samira because that shows that you're going for that early game aggressive bot side, whereas if you are early picking an ADC, usually you are picking something with more flexibility like Ezreal, where you can fit him into so many different comps, whereas with Samira, she is usually just going in that one super hard, super heavy dive comp, then they're immediately locking in Rel right after just for that.
Yeah, so actually the Gwen pickup here is going to be huge for Capedogs Unleashed. Gwen, you typically want to pick into multiple melees just so you can get as much damage and healing off as possible. You did a little counterintuitive considering the Harrowing Mist, but it's actually much stronger and much better for her to play into multiple melees. With Samira being locked in and being such a close range ADC, you might actually even be able to count her as one of those melees that Gwen can get quickly in range of and drop that kind of damage. But with the set to follow it up, this is looking like a hard engage, press W and go forward comp from Hawkthorne.
Yeah, a lot of damage and a lot of tankiness right now from Hawkthorne. I'm just worried about how much or how little range they have, even as all 3 of these champions, like you're saying, you can't count Samira as that melee champion. So 3 melee champions at this point, currently in 2.5 melee champions, have Lulu being that half, but I mean, she's not going to be doing that range damage. So hopefully we do have some more of those ranged, hopefully enablers later on in this draft.
Yeah, I like the Trundle pick here. This is another one of the picks that we saw some success on in the semifinals for Capedogs Unleashed. So not surprised to see this one. It should be going over to Pallycraft in the jungle, but you know, again, very flexible team composition here. They do have the Gwen and Trundle that could be kind of interchanged. But again, Trundle being very good here against the Rel. Once that Aftershock gets popped, you're going to be able to steal so many resistances. It just becomes such a threat in the team fight. With how many melee champions there are here, Trundle should have no problem getting in range.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, that Trundle can go top, can go jungle. Most likely is going to be going jungle. And then Gwen is still that top mid jungle flex where, again, if we're having a Trundle jungle, most likely we'll be going mid or top. But both of them are still very strong. If she hasn't been nerfed quite yet, she will be nerfed next Wednesday, which is after finals, luckily.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be coming in, so will actually, I think, be a huge shakeup in the meta here. She's just such a strong flex pick. You can pick her early and not have to worry about any kind of super strong counter matchup. Will be the Jinx coming in here. So actually, Capedogs Unleashed is looking to answer back with a protect the ADC composition almost set up here on their side as well.
Yeah, Jinx is going to be so strong in that bot lane with Lulu, assuming they are R5ing another support and they're R5ing someone for one of these lanes that they do have so much flex potential for, whereas Jinx, Lulu, they're just trying to farm. As long as they're not caught out by a Rel W or ultimate, then they should be able to farm up pretty safely and deny a lot of experience and gold to the Samira Rel.
Yeah, Lulu in theory is good at stopping that hard engage, but depending on what this last pick jungler will be here for Hawkthorne, it could be really hard because you're just gonna have so much running at you that you're not gonna know what to, polymorph and try and keep your Jinx alive. There's just be so much coming at you all at once. On the other side here, for Capedogs Unleashed, I'm looking for something that will give them some heavy disengage. Lulu's got a little bit, Trundle player can also help out with that, but I think you need something more to really just shove everyone away or say, hey, no, we're not going to team fight right now. We're actually just be just fine. You guys stay on over there with your crazy Diana Moonfall, your Rel ultimate, your Samir ultimate. It's just so dangerous. So I want something to be able to reset these team fights. I think something like Gragas could work here with an explosive cast. Throw that out in the middle, just divide everyone back up and force them to use cooldowns to get back into the fight. But really here, I think some kind of disengage option is necessary for Capedogs to find success.
Yeah, and Hawkthorne has finally locked in this full go-in dive. We want a team fight you comp with that Diana and that Syndra. Diana being a lot more of that go-in than Syndra, where she's just more looking for those picks. And then that Dr. Mundo R5 for Capedogs. How is that gonna play out?
Well, I'm gonna say this has gotta be Days listening to the rap and hearing his line of Days plays what he pleases and just thinking he's got to lock the Mundo. Another one, actually, in all reality, this is another pick we saw from them in the quarterfinals. I believe they actually didn't end up coming out on top that game, but Days did end up picking up a solo kill, I believe, on the Mundo. So maybe just more of a comfort pick here, giving some more tankiness in the fights. And Mundo, kind of being this reworked juggernaut, has a little bit more damage in his kit, can be very threatening just to your backlines. Maybe trying to force some of that attention away from this Jinx and towards the front line with a powerful Mundo Trundle duo.
Yeah, and locking in that Mundo is going to be throwing that Gwen mid lane as well. She's going to have a lot more of that roam potential to go help the bot lane, where they are kind of focusing all of this comp around this Jinx, whereas Gwen, she should be the one getting ahead early and then hopefully being able to snowball their Jinx later on, as Gwen late game not going to be anywhere near that Jinx damage that they will need.
Yeah, so this Diana was actually locked in for Arth a while back in another game I casted. I can't remember who they were playing against. But I watched his Diana gank bot 6 times that game. Literally no presence in any other lane, just entirely going bot again and again and again. And it wasn't just Diana, it was like occasionally there'd be like a 4 or 5 man in there as well. So really tells you what this team is focusing on. I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see just such a heavy focus going towards this bottom lane from this Diana.
Yeah, and really, that's all she has to do. You don't really have to worry about this Gwen. Yes, Gwen is one of those 1v9 carry potential champions, but she's not really gonna have that many solo kills into a Syndra. I mean, you could quote me saying that, of course, now she's gonna go 10-0 in lane, but usually Gwen doesn't get to solo carry a game, especially in this competitive environment, whereas Jinx finds it much more easily. So like you're saying, if they are gonna just be camping one lane, then it should hopefully be that bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the best gank setup here for Pallycraft will actually be towards that middle lane. Syndra, doesn't have any kind of gap closers, dashes, speed ups, and really just has to rely on the stun for the disengage. If you can get the Thunder Pillar behind her, pop her up towards your teammate, you can really have some good gank setup there for the Gwen. But, Trundle's just really not the jungler that is great at that gank setup. Really needs some additional help from his laners usually. Gwen doesn't have, I believe, any CC in her kit.
Yeah, no.
I'm tentatively saying that. I'm still learning Gwen's kit. I don't fully understand what she does, honestly. Should I see her just throw out needles? But anyways, either way, she does a lot of damage, but you need more than that for a good gank setup. Having this in your mid that doesn't have doesn't have an ability to get over the pillar might be the primary target here for this Trundle.
Yeah, I mean, this Trundle, he can go in a little bit in these team fights, but most likely both of their tanks there, that Dr. Mundo and the Trundle, most likely will just be trying to keep the Jinx alive, especially in these later team fights where they're not going to be the one doing the damage. It's mostly going to be that going to end that Jinx. Then for the other side, for Hawkthorne, they're just trying to keep their Syndra alive, especially late game. No one else is really going to be doing that insane damage, where Samira's just the early game. You get her some kills early, you hope that you can snowball that into a lead pre-30, and then post-30 for Hawkthorne is going to be a little rough if they aren't able to close it out.
And so we're moving down. We can now see the bans that came through in that champion select. This is no surprise. I think everyone saw the clip of Daze wombo comboing with the Kayle mid to pull off a crazy team fight win for Capedogs Unleashed a little bit ago. They also actually banned out the Ashe in that play. That's one of Yodasius' best carries here. It would have been a really good safe lane for him to play here against counters and what's going to be coming at them. So I was a little surprised to see the Jinx. We'll have to see what they can do here. So the final picks do get locked in. I believe we won't see any flexing here in trades, but you know, knock on wood, you never know with these champions that are currently drafted.
Yeah, they're gonna throw Dr. Mundo support, Lulu will be mid lane, and Gwen will be top.
And of course, Samira jungle. Of course, it just makes perfect sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's got Diana ADC and Samira jungle. That's where they're going. Obviously, there's no trolling here. We're in semifinals after all.
I mean, I believe we'll have the original lane assignments as they are locked in. I think also looking through this, Daze is gonna have to be very careful with his positioning. Gotta be the absolute target here. Mundo just such a health tank for that set to try and grab and just go crazy with the showstopper in a team fight. There's not a lot of escape options, so it's really interesting when you're playing a high HP tank how you have to position around the set and kind of make sure you're never between the set and your team. But Set always has all these options: the face breaker, a slight speed up to be able to reposition himself to that location. You just gotta be super careful when you're playing a tank.
Yeah, I mean, both of these top laners are playing that tank style, right? Where you're trying to not really get your own a lane ahead, you're trying to get these other lanes ahead, so I'm not really expecting a whole lot of 1v1 action happening in this top lane. I mean, unless they're both somehow going to take Ignite and no one takes Teleport up, but most likely these top laners are just going to be playing for their other lanes. And I do want to mention that Samir was actually locked in for jungle. I guess they're just role swapping, maybe?
Yeah, that's odd, to say the least. So
we were joking,
I mean,
but
I've never seen counters play anything but bot, so this is odd. I've also never seen Samira jungle in all my time in solo queue, so this is two very new things to me. We'll have to see how they end up panning this one out. Stay tuned, as I believe we'll be heading through the spectator delay here in just a second, popping in a game. We got game 1 action with role swaps potentially coming through. Stay tuned. Hello everybody and welcome. It's the semifinals and we got Hawkthorne Esports versus Capedogs Unleashed here on the Rift. It's a best of 5 to see who will punch their ticket to that final slot. Of course, other semifinals happening on Excellency Esports #1. But we're kicking it off here. It's #2 seed versus #5 seed. Can the upset come through? Who had the more powerful rap? All questions to be answered here in the upcoming series.
Yeah, like you're saying, it is 2nd seed versus 5th seed, 2nd seed being Hawkthorne, and they did have side select in this game 1, and for the rest of the series, side select will go to whoever lost the game before, so this is the only game that they are 100% picking blue side in. A few of our quarterfinals game series last week, blue side had a 100% win rate, and we're still on the same patch, so I'm definitely thinking that there is quite a bit of strategy behind picking this blue side here for them.
And let's also consider, here it is, the lane swap has come through. MG Rosalina, a name I'm not too familiar with here, may have been a sub brought in for Hawkthorne Esports, and Counters has actually moved on over to the jungle. Samira has been locked in, which is another one of Counters' picks, but maybe this is just part of the big plan here for Hawkthorne, throwing a wrench in the planning of Capedogs Unleashed. You planned for Counters, and now they got them on a different role. So we'll have to see how this one continues to pan out, and if Hawkthorne will still play around this bot side.
Yeah, having a new ADC, well, maybe it's not new for Hawkthorne. They probably practiced with Rosalina quite a bit to have them coming in for semifinals, but hopefully Counters is not just brand new to the jungle himself, as Diana usually does have a pretty easy full clear first, and then has some nice, easy setup for level 6 ganks as well.
Yeah, Moonfall will be huge here in these team fights. They just have so much AoE, so much ability to just pull everyone together and then drop the AoE damage. Keep an eye out for the Showstopper Moonfall plus Rail Ultimate. I'm still working on that one's name. Pulling everyone in and just dropping the damage and health bars here for Capedogs.
Yeah, hopefully Hawkthorne Esports does have this very much lead in this early game as you're leaning into this Jinx Lulu, and even a Gwen mid as well doesn't really have the greatest early game ever. And then you look at the spot lane for Hawkthorne. You've got Rosalina on Samira, you've got Maddie Mice on this Rel. It's just whoever lands the first CC in that combo is gonna get a kill pretty easily in this bot lane, especially into a lane such as Jinx Lulu where they're just trying to farm up. They are not trying to fight whatsoever in this early game.
Yeah, Madden's just going to play super far back for most of this game. Series for a while. Looking for an early trade here in Hardstuck, brother. Actually, just going to go super aggressively. The stun actually goes wide.
He's trying to find that early first blood there. He does get the flash out using his own ignite, but other than that, it does look like Hardstuck will just be living that, only having to burn a slash.
Yeah, that was rough there in that lane. I mean, ignite does go down here for Series for Y. Now, both of them flashless, as of course, Gwens don't like taking flash nowadays. But still dangerous here for the Syndra. I have to be careful here in this early game matchup.
Yeah, Flash is overrated. Syndra doesn't, or not Syndra's. Gwen doesn't take Flash. Nocturne doesn't even take Flash anymore. There's so many champions that just, apparently Flash is not needed when you already have 30 dashes. So they're going to be all right up there.
Yeah, so much ability to just kind of get away. Of course, as long as they can skirt the range of Hardstuck Brother using the Hollowed Mist and just kind of dashing on out of there, should be able to keep themselves fairly healthy in any kind of gank setup here. And again, Diana does have early gank pressure, but really hard to pull off. And actually seeing an invade now coming through. Gonna be the Wolf Camp being stolen away here by Panic Dingo.
Oh no, he's finding these early invades onto Diana where it counters. He's just trying to farm up. He doesn't want to go for these early ganks. He doesn't even really want to go for these early invades either, and taking some camps away from a jungler like that who's just trying to power farm makes a much bigger dent into someone who is just trying to gank. So definitely putting counters quite behind with that double invade there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to exactly how much counters has or hasn't jungled. All I know is he's a great ADC player. But I can say that when unfamiliar players swap into the jungle role, the hardest thing to deal with is invades and what it means for you. It's a kind of a give and take of if you fail to pull off any kind of good ganks, you're gonna fall behind due to a jungler that's outsmarting you and just being able to counter jungle you. But this just might be the setup that counters needs. It's now looking towards this bottom lane.
They're trying to find this. They have the teleport coming in from Godzilla in that top lane, but doesn't even need it as, hey, it's Talon is just gonna run towards the tower, giving first blood over to Rosalina, not even burning one of his own summoners.
Yeah, classic move there. 5-minute bot lane 4-man play. Go for the dragon right after. For Hey It's Talon, taking the L for the team, but actually managing to hold on to both summoners. That's good discipline on those. Audacious did burn the flash there. It's gonna be 1 ADC less, but again, Hawkthorne playing around bot side. Not too surprising here, but still surprised by the fact that counters is not the one in that ADC position.
Yeah, definitely very strong play there from Hawkthorne, just making sure that they have that super harsh grasp on that bot lane where you're trying to get these kills on your Samira, and any kills that you are is going to extend her quote-unquote early game damage that much longer. And now having that first blood on her is going to give her that nice extra 300 gold bounty. Well, not a bounty, but extra 300 gold in her pocket to get her a little bit closer to a super early mythic.
Yeah, just gonna have to be a little bit safer here in the bottom lane. Looks like they are still playing for it. Again, the Rel just has such good gank setup. Whenever you're playing jungle and you see a support or any laner that's just got 3 CC abilities in the kit, you're just thinking like, that's the place to be. I'm gonna look so good if I just spam gank that spot. And Panic Dingo looking for the rebuttal here. Top lane, Godzilla might be in trouble.
He might be, but they are still all level 5. No one has quite ticked that level 6 mark yet. And now Panic, he is going in here. He does force that flash up from Godzilla. And that's just a nice little bit of a pressure gank there in the top lane. Not burning any of his stone summoners for just a nice flash and hopefully a regank here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I have to give some compliments here. Panic Dingo, also known as Pallycraft, he's playing on a Smurf throughout playoffs for some reason, but playing here on the Trundle is just playing very efficiently. Bottom side cleared, goes towards the top lane, steals a camp actually from that top side, uses the blast cone to set up a gank, knows that he's not going to be able to get much, so he just forces out the flash and then moves back into his jungle to continue farming. He's building up quite the lead here in farm against counters, who's should end up being around 3 or 4 camps behind him in terms of levels, so it's going to take a little bit to catch up on this Diana.
Yeah, Diana is one of those champions that there's no such thing as being even with someone. You're either ahead or behind, and if you're quote-unquote even, then you're actually behind. So him being extremely behind right now is gonna set him back quite a lot, especially against someone like Trundle or Panic Dingo, where he's trying to farm up, but he's also got a lot more gank presence than a Diana does early on.
Yeah, and that's another big part of it too. Trundle, as assuming you're playing into melees where he can actually get in range, is so strong in the 2 versus 2. It's what makes him really good. Not necessarily that he can out-gank a Lee Sin or a Xin Zhao, but the fact that if he predicts you, reads where you're going, and then matches that gank with you, you're most likely going to lose that trade.
Yeah, most likely. And he is about to tick level 6 here once he does finish clearing that bot side. So we could definitely see something happen in bot side here for Capedogs. Could be pushing it back towards that 4v2 that we like to see early on, where Hawkthorne got it first, but potentially Capedogs could get it second.
I'm going to give a shout out here to Hardstuck Brother for managing to maintain in lane here against the Gwen. That's really all he needs to do. Don't get snowballed on too hard. He did burn that flash early, but despite that, it's back up. He has that safety available once again, and now playing extremely well into the Gwen. Slight CS lead, but again, he was forced back, and whew, good trade there from Sears for Y. As I'm trying to give Hardstuck Brother compliments, gonna cast a curse him real quick, but oh, this is actually not good for Sears for Y.
Definitely a cast a curse there, as he is forced to flash once again, but now it's serious. He's trying to find this dive before he dies, and he is able to get the kill, but Counters is gonna flash and make sure that he secures his own kill. So it is in the end just a 1-for-1, and for Gwen, that means a whole lot more, as she does have the Dark Seal. Her Dark Seal stacks were immediately taken away, but she is the one that's gonna be snowballing a lot harder than the Diana.
Another big point here is that despite getting the kill, this lane will be in a much better position for the Syndra coming back than it will be for Series for Y. So an overall win, I'd say, for Hawkthorne, but here comes the flash engage.
Oh, Maddie trying to find that flash engage, and unfortunately finds nothing other than the exhaust from Lulu. So that is quite an unfortunate summoner spell burn. He does have that Hex Flash available, but not having a normal flash up is definitely pretty rough for an early game comp like this.
And here's the rebuttal. Immediately, it's Panic Dingo looking at the Rift Herald, getting something back for the presence that Counters just showed towards the bottom side. So good jump onto this objective, making sure they can just continue to find... As long as these lanes play safe, I think Panic Dingo can just continue to play the map a little bit better than an ADC main would. And so really finding success here. Another Rift Herald to be picked up, and another neutral, or the first neutral objective going over here for Capedogs.
Yeah, it's Capedogs' first neutral objective, and Hawkthorne did pick up that first Infernal Dragon, and the next dragon will be spawning in 40 seconds, that being that mountain. So if Hawkthorne are able to pick up this dragon, which they should be able to with their mid and bot pressure pretty easily, is going to be a fairly early mountain soul for their very early game comp. And now they're trying to find this dive onto Yoda, and instantly one-shots them with the help of Counters. And the TP from this Dr. Mundo is not going to be early enough to save his ADC.
Yeah, just really good setup there. They had the wave crashing. They knew they had forced out the recall from Hayat's Town. They called the jungler over to commit to the dive, and just look at the burst damage they're able to throw down there. Definitely does not favor Capedogs Unleashed here. They need to keep this bot lane at least even if they want to find success. And here comes Panic Dingo though on a gank.
Yeah, he's trying to find this gank onto Syndra, who now no longer has flash, so that is going to be the kill. Finally going over to Series for Y, and he doesn't have to give his life for it 1-for-1 either, and he's also going to be able to pick up quite a few tower plates for himself as well if they aren't rotating for this dragon.
Yeah, it looks like they want to actually go for the dragon, so just dropping the Herald is kind of a diversion here. But here's another fight.
Yeah, serious. He's trying to continue this fight, but now Panic is all caught out. He has no damage with them, as he might have held Counters a little bit too far into his team, as now we're just going to have a nice early dance for the dragon fight. Daze and Hardstuck not being the two members here, and it does just look like Capedogs do just want to give this early dragon. They know they outscale Hawkthorne later on, but it is going to be a fairly early soul depending on if they are able to take a few dragons later on.
And it will be the Ocean Soul, so that'll be power. Oh! Unlucky flash there for Godzilla. Was looking for the teleport. This is 1 point in the basket for the flash on D gang instead, as Godzilla actually blows that one in the pit. But I wanted to comment on the danger there for Capedogs Unleashed. I think it was a good read on summoner spells. You had Daze top lane who had just burned his TP trying to save the Jinx. That failed. And while they knew that they had 4 versus 4 there, they knew Daze could not TP down, and they knew that Hardstuck Brother also was holding onto his TP and sitting in base. So they played it smart, did not commit to a fight, and get themselves caught out in a bad exchange. I like the back off here from Capedogs Unleashed, and you know, despite losing these first 2 dragons, they are up a small amount of gold thanks to those plates from the Rift Herald.
Yeah, the plates did definitely help him quite a lot. Panic being the one that picked up the most plates on his own, as unfortunately Sirius was walking away towards the dragon before giving his own life for it, so didn't really get to pick up that many plates for himself. As now Counters trying to find this fight over the chickens onto Panic. He will be using that Moonfall Panic. Not having Flash, not having ult available, is just going to be forced to give away his chickens, but he could... Okay, it almost could be killed by Syndra there, but not enough damage quite yet.
Yeah, that's the risky factor of a Diana that managed to get ahead. A little bit strange in my opinion that she opted for these Sork shoes early. It will cripple her damage a little bit, but the Adam Mimic's will allow her to just roam around this map like crazy, and that might come in handy right here.
Now Maddie, he's going in for the engage onto Yoda, but unfortunately no one is here for follow-up damage, and that's just going to be a kill going down to Yoda, and the TP coming in from Sirius as well finds the kill onto Rosalina.
And you guys just watched that Rel melt as fast as I did, right? Oh, okay, won't be the full engage.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys watched that Rel melt as fast as I did, right? That's the power of Subjugate. Aftershock proc, grab the resistances off of her, Trundle becomes insanely tanky, the Rel becomes insanely squishy, and you just be able to melt through that tanky support, just nullifying those stats that were supposed to keep her nice and healthy in that fight. Got her down before the Diana could commit on to the roam, so another good win here for Capedogs.
And I think while we were watching the bot lane play, there was actually a 1v1 going on in the top lane, and Daze picking up the 1v1 outplay up there on the top lane. Definitely not expecting a Mundo to be going in for something like that. Encounters flashing on the Hayat's talent and immediately being polymorphed and exhausted is just going to die immediately as Yoda picks up his second kill of the game on the Shinx.
You gotta be careful there. They had the summoners available to sustain through that exhaust going down to keep him nice and or keep the damage to a minimum. Panic Dingo also coming down here to dissuade any kind of further engagement onto Hayat's Talon, but when you commit all that onto the Lulu, the damage source for this bottom lane was just free hitting you the entire time. So Audacious happy to pick up that kill. They did burn 2 summoners, so I would look for a repeat gank here towards the bottom lane.
Yeah, they did burn every single summoner from Capedogs bot lane except for that flash on Yoda, which could almost be argued as the most important summoner out of the 4 down there, as once the AEC it doesn't have flash anymore, usually that's the main damage source that is that sitting duck. And now in this top lane here, Daze with that 1v1 kill is able to take this first tower of the game, a little bit of extra gold in his team's pocket.
Alright, let's note these CS numbers because I think Daze is gonna have an aneurysm if he doesn't. Or if the casters don't. Just insane play. I mean, look at the gold differential here in the top lane. This is where most of this, I believe, is being made up right now, as it's just Daze 2k ahead of the set here, and it's all basically in those CS numbers. A little bit, of course, attributed to plates, but it's around a 80 CS gap right now in the top lane. So feeling super comfy on this Mundo. Daze has learned this rework champion super quickly, and you're seeing the effectiveness of that.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the CS numbers until you mentioned it, and yeah, Daze almost tripling Godzilla's CS in this game 1 could spell a lot of trouble for him later on. Is this just going to be that tank battle, and maybe it wasn't much of an outplay, more of just Daze is sitting up there 2k gold ahead, and that is huge up there in the top lane.
Yeah, so we do have some more neutrals spawning right now. No one really gonna be in a good position to take either, as it looks like it's reset here from counters. I almost said Arth. This counters the ADC on the jungle Diana. Resetting as Herald spawns, and now Dragon being up in 30 seconds. You gotta imagine this is gonna be the target for both these teams. Hawkthorne looking for their soul point, Capedogs Unleashed looking to nullify it.
Yeah, Capedogs, they are just trying to make this game last long enough for Yoda to find that 3-item power spike on Jinx. He's currently only sitting on 1 and about a quarter item there just with that extra dagger. So stalling out this soul, which is currently going to be spawning at around that 24 minute mark if they aren't able to stall it out by taking any, is going to spell very troublesome for their bot lane. And now they're trying to find this engage here. Godzilla going into the backline immediately finds the one shot onto Panic Dingo, and now Hayat's Talon doesn't have a team with them. Heartstep brother is getting run down by Daze, though. You see just how far ahead this Dr. Mundo is. And meanwhile, in the backline, Sirius on the other side of the fight finds a kill before going down. And now Yoda, he's arrived. He does a lot of damage on this Jinx, but unfortunately, he doesn't have a team to back him up. He's going to give his own shutdown down to Godzilla, and that is going to be the team fight victory for Hawkthorne, picking up their 3rd dragon of this game.
Hawkthorne Esports, despite being 3k gold down, post-fight, somehow managed to turn that one around. Oh no, Daze is playing American Sniper on the side. He wants to deny this soul still. He's gonna try and continue to commit to this fight.
He's still going in for this 1v3. He doesn't take damage, he doesn't take CC either, and he's gonna find a double kill for himself. Extended triple kill if he finds it onto Maddie as well, who's actually forced to flash away in Hardstuck. He teleports in to not have anyone there to save him, as nowadays he might have run a little bit too far. Mundo can't go everywhere that he pleases, as he unfortunately misses the last Q and will give a shutdown down to counters.
All right, this dragon fight just became a whole lot more scrappy. Daze resetting everything here. This is Dynamite of the Pit.
It's not over yet. Panic Dingo is here. It is just going to be coming down to the Smite fight. Doesn't matter who wins the dragon fight if both junglers are back in time. And now TP coming in from Godzilla as well, just to make this fight even longer than it needed to be at all. And that's going to be another kill going down to Panic Dingo. Now 2, 1, and 5 on this jungle, who is not ahead whatsoever before this fight. And now he's pretty huge up there in the jungle.
I'm gonna call worth for Capedogs in the end. They stopped the soul. They managed to get some more kills for themselves on the board. But really, shout out to Daze. I was not ready for the Mundo to be the one to carry that fight. Coming clutch there at the end. 1 versus 3 to scare Hawkthorne Esports off the dragon. Stalls out enough time for his team to reset, come back, get some kills. Slight overextension at the end. But in the, I mean, all in all, this is a huge win here for Capedogs.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was really expecting Daze to find the sniper one-shot Q onto Rosalina and then just basically be able to run down counters and Maddie Mice, just not allowing them to touch the dragon whatsoever. And definitely, like you said, stalling enough time for the rest of his team to arrive and being able to take the dragon for themselves, stalling out that Ocean Soul timer just enough so that they do get that extra scaling time towards Yoda, and now counters. He's trying to farm in his own jungle, and he's not allowed to do it whatsoever, as unfortunately his mid laner is going to be the one taking the fall.
You know, I had a Gwyn duo, or they weren't a Gwyn duo or one trick all the time, but one of my duos switched their main champion over to Gwyn, and then actually eventually changed the name to Riftmaker OP. And right here, you're seeing the power of that. Gwyn just rolling through the jungle, so much damage on this champion. 6-2-1 series for Y, making a name for themselves in this series, but it's in a fight in the bot lane.
Oh, it's a fight in the bot lane, always a fight. Rosalina being taken down almost immediately by Yoda. As you can just see, this Jinx, she's gotten to scale up, and she's scaled up quite well. She gets a double kill for himself, and while counters trying to help his bot lane, unfortunately not able to do whatsoever. And Series picks up the kill onto him as well.
What a fight here in the bottom lane. You cannot take out that Jinx. She will stay alive as long as Lulu is next to her. Panic Dingo also dropping the Herald mid to create a little bit more pressure. It goes super low.
Oh my goodness, the ultimate coming out from Hardstuck, not gonna do enough damage, just a little bit more AP, might have just found the kill on the Panic.
Patience coming through here for Capedogs. They managed to find 2 more towers. Only 1 tier 2 on the map left. It will be towards that top lane. With Dragon spawning in 2 minutes and 40 seconds here, I wouldn't be surprised to see the attempted Baron setup towards this top side as well. Could look to push down that tower, keep one person in a side lane, and then try and go for the Baron with some bait on Vision. But again, risky play here. Hawkthorne has shown that they can win a team fight, and they've got the wombo combo for it.
Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of current vision around this Baron as Capedogs. They do have that pink ward on the Baron pit right now, which does kind of force Hawkthorne to check it just to make sure no one is on this Baron. But other than that one pink ward, there isn't really any vision control over this Baron pit at this point in the game, which is a little surprising considering how far ahead Capedogs is. Currently almost 10,000 gold in the lead, as they could definitely look to take this Baron if they do have the right setup for it.
Yeah, just sitting here in mid lane, looking to make the possible rotation. They have to get Prow here first, and it's being completely denied to them by 3 members in mid right now. If they want to go towards that river, may have finally reset the wave just enough that they could go for it, but they're looking at it possibly trying to take out CS4Y here, who's been splitting all alone for maybe a little bit too long.
Maybe a little bit, but he's still playing Gwen. Gwen is, like you said, doesn't have to take Flash for a reason. That's because she's a Season 11 champ that has 30 million dashes. So it is going to be pretty hard to catch her out, even if you do have 3 people there in the bot lane trying to find her.
Yeah, so now Vision has been swept out. There is still 1 ward in that pixel bush, so we weren't able to spot out all the Vision here for Hawkthorne. But a lot of darkness here towards this Baron. And now potential engagement here as there's a Rel on the flank, 5 versus 3 in the middle lane. They might just go for it.
They are definitely far enough ahead of Hawkthorne Esports to just force a fight really at any point here. They could fight over the jungle camps if they really wanted to, as they just need to get a pick so that they can look towards that Baron. And at this point, with 60 seconds down on that Ocean Dragon as well, they need to be looking for something just to make sure that Hawkthorne isn't getting a sneaky Ocean Soul up on them.
Yeah, it looks like they don't just want to play this game super safely, kind of playing for the bots victory here, get this dragon off the map so they can go for that setup. But you have already seen it. Series for Y has been just constantly splitting bot lane. This is what they're probably going to continue to do until this Baron is off the map, just to keep pressure and numbers of Hawkthorne down towards this bottom side. As with this Gwen just being so far ahead, she demands multiple members' attention in order to be stopped on the split push.
Yeah, and you can see how much pressure she is able to create, as this wave has just constantly been under this ghost tier 2 tower in the bot lane, where Gwen, she doesn't want to walk up too far, as she knows that she can be picked out with enough members from Hawkthorne Esports rotating down. But at the same time, the more members that are down there trying to kill that Gwen, the less members are mid lane stopping the push from the rest of Capedogs Unleashed. So she is trying to get more than one member down here, hopefully.
Godzilla has been matching this split push fairly well. This dragon will go over, just too much pressure on the map for them to be able to walk up. Good setup here towards that dragon, and it's a Cinder in the top lane looking for some levels, farm, and potentially a tower with 2 at least minimum rotating up to this top side. She's gonna have to leave.
Oh yeah, she is gone. She knows you cannot stay up there in that tower for too long, as the rest of our team trying to farm the jungle, trying to farm this mid lane. They're not up here in this top trying to be pressuring anything, as they did know they were most likely setting up around that dragon for Capedogs, and now they don't really know where Capedogs are. As you can see, there is just not enough vision on the map for Hawkthorne Esports at this point. It's only around the Baron pit.
Ooh, but here's the fight.
Here's the fight. They're trying to find this pick here on today's, but he's just so tanky on this Dr. Mundo. All he has to do is press R and look at them a little bit, and now he almost could just run them down. As you can see, 1 Q from Dr. Mundo up there is going to take about half the HP off the counters, but he doesn't know where the rest of Hawkthorne Esports are and doesn't really want to face check a bush with all 5 of them in there, as he does have a bounty on him.
He straight up dropped like the anime villain, haha, that tickled, and just turned around the gank as Stu tried to go topside to stop this Mundo, but so far ahead in gold right now in this top lane, just no one can be able to take him out. Like, even Samir doesn't really have tank tread abilities. She's gonna struggle to find any kind of damage here against the Mundo.
Yeah, there isn't really any tank shredding on the side of Hawkthorne Esports. They've got the burst from counters and Hardstuck, and then Samira is there for that DPS, but other than that, you've got no tank burst such as like a Vayne or another one of those 80 carries that usually are well known for that. And you can see Capedogs, you've got almost 4,000 HP on your Dr. Mundo, and with no tank burst, he's gonna be keeping that for quite a long time, especially with 2 Ocean Dragons on him as well. And if they are gonna continue stacking these Ocean Dragons, will be very, very tanky on this Dr. Mundo.
Oh, TP's come through.
Sirius TP's in, finds the flank on the backline, does not take any damage. It's now Sirius trying to find this 1v1 onto Godzilla, but Panic Dingo finds it down onto counters. Now double kill, triple kill coming for Pango Dingo, looking for this pentakill on Trundle. Not the champion that anyone was expecting to suddenly pop off, as unfortunately Syndra finds the ultimate on him, shutting him down right before she goes and gives him the penta.
And they committed so much for it too. They ultimately lose 2 champions trying to find the pentakill, and they just can't get it. Still 3 alive, could try it and go for the Baron here, should have enough time. But again, it was really an impossible decision here for Hawkthorne. They had Series for Y in the bottom lane split pushing, found a great flank TP to start off that fight. And even through all that, counters almost turns it around. Showstopper from Godzilla plus a 3-man Moonfall. They almost killed the Jinx. I believe I saw below 200 HP, but here comes another teleport. They're trying to stop this one.
Oh, they're trying to stop this one. Godzilla flashing in on a Lulu, only to get polymorphed. One more auto might find the kill onto Lulu, but not gonna have enough time to find it, as he's just gonna go down with his flash down, as well as now Maddie Mice might be making the same mistake here, as they are trying to chase down Daze. They were able to get them off of the Baron, and now they just want to finish it. Counters does have a smite available, but Daze wants to go for the steal, not gonna find it. That's gonna be Hawkthorne Esports taking down that Baron. Not what we were expecting, as Daze forced to flash, forced to ult away. I do believe he will be able to live here, though.
Oh, came down to the wire there, but yeah, able to sustain through the damage. But the Baron goes over to Hawkthorne. You'd think the early bird gets the worm, but no, it's actually the late fox that catches the bird here on the Baron. Hawkthorne Esports finding a way to sustain themselves in this game one.
Yeah, you got the first 2 dragons, you've lost the next 2, and they're definitely looking to lose the next 3rd as well if they didn't have that Baron secured. But now with the Baron, they're able to get this pressure in the mid and the bot lane, which is something that they've lacked for the last 2 or 3 dragons. So now with that extra pressure and a little bit of more vision control around this dragon, they could hopefully look to win this fight around it now.
I think what hurts the most about all of that is that if they didn't go for the Penta on the Trundle, they would have still had 2 other champions alive there to just burst through that Baron. Ultimately, they committed to it. Absolute respect for trying to make it happen, but it did lose you that Baron, and it might just lose you this dragon as well.
Hopefully it doesn't lose them 2 whole objectives for just trying to get a Pentas. Now Hayes Talon might have blocked a little bit too close counters, trying to find this 1v1 right before the dragon spawns, but unfortunately does not have any follow-up damage. Matty Mice going in on his own, lands a lot of CC, but has no follow-up damage. Now and Dingo once again and popping off on this jungle pick. Already a double kill for himself while Sirius takes out the backline of Hawkthorne Esports. All 5 members are gone. There's no steal potential as that is the 3rd Ocean Dragon for Capedogs.
Yeah, I don't know how else to say it. If I see another hard engage into this Lulu, but we might not get another chance to, as it's Capedogs looking at the end. But if I see another hard commit to Lulu when she has Exhaust plus Hugify up, I might just lose my mind. It doesn't make any sense. That can't be your target. You have to get onto one of these carries with all the burst that this Diana has. But ultimately, 3 times I saw flash engagements onto Hayes Talon that he survived and sustained through, and it will be Capedogs Unleashed taking game 1 here over Hawkthorne.
Yeah, this is starting to go towards your maybe potential 3-0 for the team that we were not originally expecting the 3-0 to happen for. Is now Capedogs, they're 1-up, they're 1-0 up in the series. They were not expecting to be 1-0 up in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of funky things that happened in this game. We had a ADC in the jungle. I'm not sure if it's because they're missing the usual jungler Arth, or if it's because counters and the squad had figured out that there's just a unique pick that they can run against Capedogs that might just throw them off their guard. It didn't work here. I think there was still potential for it. There was a couple bad mid-game fights. Really good presence on the map here from Palicraft, Panic Dingo, on that Trundle to make sure that the top lane got so far ahead, and really just playing through the solo lanes. There was so much focus on the bottom lane here from counters. You know, maybe it's just the traditional ADC mindset coming through. He does as he would on his junglers due to him. But he focused so hard on that bot side and it just didn't pay off. So maybe just need to change in strategy here. I'm not sure exactly what the answer is for Hawkthorne, but they got to figure out something to change up as this first game strat did not work against Capedogs.
Kept trying to engage on Lulu like you were mentioning, and he was committing his flash, he was committing his ultimate as well, and committing both of those onto a champion that could just polymorph you and usually exhaust or flash away is not really the champion you can go on to. But the issue with that is, are you going to go on the Trundle? Or are you going to go on the Dr. Mundo? You're not going to be killing either of those. And the Jinx, she's way off in the back line. You're not going to get to her at any point. And of course, Gwen, you've got the ultimate ability on the W. You're not going to CC her. So what are you going to do? So at that point, you're just looking at Counter's champion and being like, where does this fit into the game? How does Diana even get to play this mid to late game if she's not getting ahead super early, which of course she didn't in that game. Usually you could, but in that game, not so much. So it was just a large downhill fall for the side of Hawkthorne.
Yeah, of course, Samir was the first pick here, right? And I think that Capedogs drafted around this. Imagine that ADC doesn't get drafted until you see Trundle, Trundle, Gwen, and what was the third? Dr. Mundo. And then you lock Vayne into that and play Protect the Vayne against a triple like melee threat beefy kind of comp. I feel like that'd be such a better pick here in this situation, but it's really tough to say. It's all speculative. I believe, going to a quick short break here as we get set up for this next round draft. Stay tuned though. Capedogs Unleashed going up game 1 here. We'll have to see if they continue their streak and move forward in this series.